Let's Talk Small Business, the real talk, no BS podcast for business owners and entrepreneurs who want to grow and actually enjoy the ride. I'm Mitchell Wilson. Let's get into it. Welcome to the podcast, Sanjesh Lal. He's an industry leader. He's a founder of Keola Construction Management, and of course, he's a family man as well. I'm really looking forward to the chat with you because you've had a big journey in the industry that's always at the top of people's mind. Welcome to the podcast and Let's Talk Small Business. How's it going?
Excellent. Yeah, good. Thanks for the introduction.
Let's talk a little bit about your business and where it's at today. Keola Construction Management. What do you get up to? Just explain for the viewers sort of what you guys actually do.
We've actually got quite a broad coverage, so we do anything construction. Projects range from, I would say there's no lower limit, but upper we probably go about 15 to 20 mil as a cap. Anything beyond that, it gets we carry a lot of risk. So in that sort of wheelhouse of projects, we do anywhere from high-end architectural homes, we do medium density housing, we do civil works, refurb, interior fit outs. So it's basically a bit of everything. Our core business, if you want to call it that, in the last, say, 4 or so years has been in multi-unit housing, which was social housing, community housing, that kind of stuff. We've dabbled, we built a hotel, we've done a lot of civil works, we've done slip remediation, we've done classroom refurbishments, so a whole raft of things, really. So keeps it interesting.
Yeah, no, I love it. You know what? We're going to dive into that a little bit deeper, hopefully later on. But first, I'd love to figure out how you got here. I mean, this business has been running for, what is it, over 18 years now?
18 years, yep.
Yeah, and you founded this with your wife, Sangeeta?
Correct.
Brilliant. But where did it all begin, your career? You went to university?
Went to university, yep. So it depends how far back you want to go. So
as far back as you want. Love to hear it all.
So the reason I'm interested in construction is when I was a kid, my dad used to be a bit of a handyman, and we always used to do stuff around the house and outside and so on and so forth. So that sort of sparked my interest that I was never going to be an accountant. So it was got to be something technical along that field. And also when I was a kid, my dad gave me a business, and the business was called selling chickens and eggs. So when I was a youngster, I used to come home from school, feed the chickens, collect eggs, sell eggs, and so on. So that gave me a bit of a taste of what business is on a very, very small scale.
How did you sell them? Were you going door to door or just sitting in front of the...
No, people would just know within the network. They would come and buy chickens or eggs. We had ducks as well for a stint. So yeah, well, that was my first kind of introduction to a little bit about business, because you get a bit of pocket money from there, but it was hard work. You have to come home from school, mix up chicken feed the chickens, clean up the chicken coops and all that sort of stuff. That's originally where I started, and both my parents were school teachers, so I knew one thing I wasn't going to be was a school teacher. So, and then from there on, finished high school, tail end of high school. As used to be quite common those days, is people would go, I'm from Fiji, people would go overseas to, do further study, Australia, New Zealand, wherever. So I got into a scholarship and I came to New Zealand to study a bit more. Finished my high school in Nainai, Lower Hutt, which was interesting and a good experience.
Why do you say that in terms of interesting?
Well, it's a bit of a culture shock, really, because the education system in Fiji is very structured. It's the old British system there, so reasonably controlling back in the day, and there was a lot of respect and all that sort of stuff. Very structured. So when I come here to Lower Hutt and go to Nainai College, the first few days I was there was a huge culture shock, because while our physics teacher was on up front writing on the board and trying to explain a concept, there's two or three guys at the back of the room doing WWE, which you remember, World Wrestling Federation, they were sort of banging into the walls and, fake, dumping people on the ground. And I thought, gosh, they're going to get hammered now. And the the teacher just said, boys, just keep it down.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, well, if that was in my class last year, you don't want to know what would have happened to them.
Yeah, yeah, man.
So it was interesting experience. But one thing good is that education system back home was quite advanced. So when I what we studied when I came here in seventh form, what the teachers were teaching was something we had learned 2 years ago.
Right.
So obviously, I mean, I wasn't the smartest kid. I was probably the top 10 or 15 in my class,
Above
so
average.
not
Yeah, yeah.
by top. And so I cruised through because all those things that people are struggling with was easy for me because we've already done it.
Yeah. I look honestly, just standing here thinking, I would just think generally, and it may have changed in the last X amount of years, but I just would have thought New Zealand would have been ahead in that stuff, but obviously not.
No, no. So we found, especially the technical stuff, mathematics, chemistry, physics, all that sort of stuff, which I did, was quite good. English was a subject that was a little bit, although we had very good spelling and grammar and everything like that. But this is where it was a bit of a disjoint because over here you're given a book and you sort of taught to explore, and there's like
Mm.
nothing off limits. And so I found that a little bit hard because so I literally passed seventh form bursary by 1 mark, my English, and
Snap.
all the others were so good I could have got into second year university.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's great. I was great at maths and I was everything else but English. I scraped through. Just.
So I did want to do something technical. So I just did it by elimination. I wasn't going to become an accountant or, those sorts of arts or anything like that. So then the choices for engineering were the Canterbury, South Island, or Auckland. I asked a few people. They said South Island's really cold. So I ended up in Auckland and been here since. So that was probably 1989, 90. So quite a
So was
while
your
ago.
family over here or you just come over by yourself?
Yeah, initially I did come over by myself. I was 16, maybe 16 or so, 16, 17, 16, I think.
Mhm.
And now my family's here. We've only got a small family. It's just myself, my sister, and my mum.
Mhm.
My father passed away some years ago. So yeah, they're all here, and we sort of within a 5 kilometer radius. So that's quite good.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, I ended up in Auckland University. Um, started enrolled into engineering, which was what they used to be just the first graduate years, just to find your
Wing
feet,
tip.
figure out what you want to do. And so I had a bit of interest in traffic and transport. I thought that was glamorous. I'd be designing roads through forests and all these sorts of things. And I've never designed anything like that.
Yeah.
I've designed one roundabout
Great. Where is the round? Is it still about this roundabout?
out in Maraitai,
Oh, there we
Beachlands,
go.
Auckland. Yeah. But anyway, so the first year was good. We had a lot of fun. My grades were reasonably good because I was a studious student.
Mhm.
And then we got into a flooding situation. We had a few guys, a few girls, and so on and so forth. And the grades started dwindling a little bit,
Right. Is this year
as you
two,
do.
is it?
Started having a lot of fun. Year two.
Yeah.
Um, and I met my now wife around that time as well. We were very young. We got engaged because a little bit, it's quite open these days. People, have a boyfriend, girlfriend. No one bats an eye, but it was kind of a little bit looked down upon in our culture that you needed to have like some sort of a formal thing. So
Yep.
we got engaged, and then before you know it, we got married. And I was 21 years old. Um, and as it happens, post marriage, we then had a child, and I was still at university.
Oh wow.
And this was stuff that, like, literally was there's too much happening. Engineering degree, which is already quite hard.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
you get a family, you get a child. But life took a dramatic turn for me after the second year of study, as my company name, which is Keola, is actually my grandmother's name. And the reason for that is when I was a kid, as I said, my parents were school teachers. So they would travel around, every few years. So when I was born, they left me with my grandmother to look after me. So I was with her in those early first 5 years, preschool days.
Yeah.
And, those are the years of attachment. So I got
Strong.
really attached to her and so on and so forth. So while I was studying here, while I was at engineering school at Auckland Uni, she got really ill and she passed away.
Mm.
And so, in my wisdom back at that time, and other people helping me think for myself, said that, hey, look, it's already happened. What are you going to do? You've got exams coming up, and there's nothing more you can do. So I kind of thought there was a lot, someone's made the decision for me. So I continued. I said, okay. So I didn't actually go back to her funeral, which was a very bad mistake on my part. And now I know when people say they lose somebody and they need closure, and I think, well, what is closure? Like, that they did. It's just not being able to see that person go away.
Would you call that a regret in your life?
Oh, absolutely. It's bugged me my entire life. I'm over 50 now. And if you can wind the clock back, so you obviously can't. So it's something that I live with every day, that I couldn't do that. Wrong decision. I went and did all my exams. I failed all of them apart from one. Wow. So it ended up being a waste anyway, because my mind was just not in it.
So you're trying to study for exams. Your grandmother, which was like your mother, passed away. You're having a baby. Had the baby been born as yet?
The baby was born, yep.
Baby was born. Oh my God, that is a lot for how old? Like a 21-year-old all going on at once?
There's a lot on your plate, eh? So yeah, and those sorts of things. When you're young, you don't quite realize how much impact it has, some of these events. So as I said, my grades started dwindling. I was working at the airport as a part-time job. I was working at FedEx, freight company.
Yeah.
I used to work from 4 p.m. till midnight, 2 or 3 nights a week. And when all these things happened, my study started just not just diminishing. And I then, got offered more work and I started doing more things. And then at that company, from sorting out freight, I went and started working in the accounts department. I knew nothing about accounting. I was working in the accounts department. I was some days I'd fill in and be a courier driver, go and deliver packages and so on. So I thought, man, this is the life. I got lots of hours and earning money.
I'm really curious now to hear the end of the story. Did you finish your studies?
I'm going to that. So after I went through different departments at FedEx, learned a lot, met a lot of good people, did that for about a year, say 18 months, made lots of friends. And the pay increments were like 10 cents an hour or something. And you wait the whole year and you get 12 cents an hour. And gosh, this is going to take forever. And by that time, I had sort of made peace with myself. So then I went back. So I'd left my studies after the second year, 2.5 years. Started worked for about 18 months. Then I went back to study. So by that time, my friends had moved on. They'd finished, they graduated. So I went back in. And then obviously, it's a 4-year degree. It took me 4.5 years. It took me a little bit longer. But I was right into it. Then I had focus. I had a child to feed, and I needed to earn money, and I needed to do something that's going to give me a career. So I went back, and then I studied, and then I graduated. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So that was my early kind of, education component.
Yeah.
And then, it was basically trying to get a job. As a young graduate, while I was studying, I had worked in metal workshops, graveyard shifts, McDonald's, KFC, all sorts of stuff, as you do. I was actually, one of the jobs I really enjoyed was when I was in 7th form, I used to work at Cobb & Co., which is a old-time family restaurant.
I went there recently, a couple of months ago when I was on
There you go.
holiday.
You hardly see them around these days.
Yeah, no.
Are there many of them
This
around?
was in Rotorua. Went on a family holiday, and I said to my son, I said, "Oh, I need to take you here to Cobb and Go." He wasn't as impressed as I was. Yeah,
no, I know. That's quite nostalgic. So there was one in Lower Hutt, and I used to work there. And obviously, I was underage, so I couldn't do the bar duties, which I would have loved to. But my job was making desserts, the dishwashing, all that good stuff. It was real good fun. Really good experience working, back of house in a restaurant. You see the amount of pressure that they go through on a daily basis.
Mm.
So anyway, I then graduated and started looking for work. I sent, and there was no emails. I write and send a letter. I sent, God knows, about 50, 60 positions I applied for, all sorts of consulting firms. And then I landed a job in a company called Fraser Thomas, who's a multidiscipline consulting firm. And worked for a couple of years there, learned a lot. Good and solid old school engineers, anything I would write, my boss would just read everything. And that happened for a good 3 months, 3 or 4 months
Yeah.
before my work was good enough for them to actually read. So, and then from there, I worked after a couple of years. Went through another consulting firm,
Hmm.
and I got a big experience. It's called Opus Consultants, WSP Opus. They are
Yeah.
now. So, my sort of consulting career was about 10, 12 years, let's say. Worked in large scale land development projects, subdivisions. For some clients, we'd do 100 lot subdivisions one year, then another 50 next year, another 50. So it would just, design the earthworks, roading, drainage,
Hmm.
prepare the lots, and then
The
the developer would
roundabouts.
sell them. Yeah, roundabouts. And so that actually, after a while, got a little bit boring. Just the same old, year after year. And there's no your work can't be seen. Put it this way, like I used to take my son and show them. You can't really show them. Hey, there's a drainage line over here. I just like that. So it just got a bit boring. By that time, we had two kids, and we did quite a bit of travel, really budget travel. So we did about a month in Europe with two toddlers
Wow.
in tow, jumping from train to train. So that was a
Great
really good
adventure.
experience for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, And also in that time, with that measly salary, we bought our first apartment unit, which was $119,000, 119, 2 bedrooms, attached to another one.
People nowadays wouldn't believe.
Wouldn't believe that. And the the thing about that was that it was next to a creek, so anytime there was a bit of heavy rain, the water would come up almost to the deck. And so I used to go and do all the work there myself, all the maintenance. Used to take my young two boys and get them to play around with the lawnmower or something while I do some other stuff. And so it's good fun. So that was our very first unit that we bought on a very, very small salary. My wife was working; she was working for BNZ at the time. Yeah, somehow or the other, these things when you have all this pressure, a solution always comes about. People think that is the end or it's too stressful. It is, but if you persevere long enough, then you do get out of it somehow. I don't know how, but somehow.
Just because you mentioned that, hey, you took the family holiday, your kids working with you, and you're sort of doing all the work around the home. I'm interested. You said that when you were younger, you were selling those eggs, selling those chickens as well. Did you give them that same kind of entrepreneurial experience now that you're an entrepreneur yourself?
Yeah, I mean, we did, and I was because the way I was brought up with a lot of hard work, mixing concrete, this and that. We built our own house, the bulk of it, when I was a kid. Um, so yeah, my son would one of his mates and him. We were just talking about it the other day. He's 30 now, and they used to go around door knocking and clean up people's yards.
Wow.
And someone gave them $20, and they thought that won lotto. You know, so yeah, definitely do that. And when I was very young, I think just from the upbringing of hardworking parents, I was quite enterprising. So even when I had a job at FedEx, which was a reasonable number of hours, in the weekend I'd get another mate. We would go hire a chainsaw and go and cut trees for people, clear their yard because we had some time on Saturday or Sunday, so we'd get a little bit more extra cash. We'd buy and sell cars. We'd buy a car, a real bomb, and then do it up a little bit, sell it, any which way to try and make a little bit more cash to survive. So that was really good, and you get to meet a lot of people, and you get to understand and appreciate how people's thinking are. You get some good ones, you get some real bad ones, and those experiences sort of shape who you are and how you interact with people. So that was me after consulting. Then got a bit bored, and I thought, what should I do? And towards the tail end of my consulting work, we had bought a site, piece of land, for $55,000 back in the day.
Yep.
It was in Avondale. It was next to a racecourse, and we built our first home over there, which I did. I didn't build the house myself, but I project managed it, and any retaining wall, smaller things that I could do. I painted the whole house inside myself. For security, I used to sleep there during construction, so no one would break in.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was great fun, loved it. Um, and so after we'd done that, then another friend approached me and said, "Hey, I'm looking to build a house. Can you look after that for me?" And we thought, okay, well, I can. It was for free, obviously.
Yeah, okay. Yep, yep.
So did that, and I quite enjoyed then being the guy kind of giving advice, and people, even though I was so young and didn't have that much experience, just logic and common sense, trying to not convince people, but give people the options of what decisions to make. So
What age were you at that stage?
probably would have been mid, I'd say maybe 26, 27, 26.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying to get your scale of what you call young.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, no, yeah, it might have been 24, something like that, I'd say. Still considered young, I would say. um, so I thought I quite enjoyed that. So I thought then maybe this is something I might want to do. So while I was working at a consulting firm, I thought, okay, well, I'll do the important stuff first. I need a company name. I need to register a company. I need to make a logo. So, you think that this is how business is. You have to get all this thing sorted first. Don't think about customers. Let's just make this
yeah.
brand new shiny thing first of all. That's
Of course. Yeah.
And I did. Like I used to finish my work and stay up, and thinking back now, what a waste of time. I used to spend hours and hours looking at what should the logo look like, what should the name be, a lot of time. How to set up a website. Why would you learn how to build a website if that's not going to be your core business? And now I know. So I spent oodles and oodles of time on all these things. So I learned about CMK, there's these colors, all these things which are completely rubbish that I don't need in my life at the
I
moment.
really want to highlight your point that you've learned after the fact that, look, stick to the important stuff, figure out what that important stuff is. But of course, that's what you've learned in hindsight and, what you know now through experience.
Exactly. So I did all that and set up a website and so on and so forth, and paid, I think, $250 or something, put some ads in the paper. There used to be the local paper and just small ads. And someone phoned me.
Okay.
Someone phoned me from there. And the ad, I remember back in the day, print ads used to be, there was a maximum word limit. So you could fit whatever you say.
Character as well.
So that was really good. Someone phoned me. I went and saw them. They somehow or the other thought that I could do this because I said, "Hey, I've just built my own house." And so I got my very first project as a project manager and through my company. I was still in a full-time employment at that point.
Do those customers know that?
Those customers never asked. I never told them.
Mm-hmm.
My boss knew. I told him, "Hey, look, I'm going to try this thing and just letting you know." And he said, "Oh, yeah, whatever, go try whatever you want." He knew it wasn't going to work. So
Okay. Yeah.
just go do whatever you want. So he was very flexible. So I did and built that house during my breaks, after hours. It wasn't too far from my office, so I used to rush off, check on the guys, sort out whatever needed to be sorted out. There's a lot happening on phone calls those days, not so much email and stuff like that. So it was fun. It was fine. We thought, there's this thing come out. It said Master Builders House of the Year Awards. And we thought, geez, what's the criteria for that? Oh, it's got to be under 500K or under a million. What do you need to do to apply? Oh, there's this form and you're going to write up what it's about. And so we did. I said, it can't be that hard. So we fill out the forms and submitted it in. And lo and behold, we got told that you've won a Master Builders House of the Year award. gosh, how did that happen?
Congratulations.
It's just
Wow.
a
Yeah.
basic house. And we won a bronze, which was fantastic. So that gave us a real boost. And we thought maybe we did something right. I don't know what it is, but maybe there's something right for other people to recognize a brand new company, first project, and you got a bronze award. That gave us a lot of motivation, and we started building up on that. And I quickly realized, all the things which I had customers selling eggs and chickens and so on and so forth, learning to interact with people. So my second project was a really, he's still my friend to this day, David Prowse. He's probably 90 now, retired dentist. And he had a project in Remuera. Remuera back in the day was actually quite a high-end suburb in Auckland.
Yep.
And he wanted to build a project. And what he saw, that I had a civil engineering degree and he had a very steep site. And obviously, it was a building company. I had a civil engineering degree. And he thought, okay, well, that may be a good fit. So when I went and saw him, he actually was a very, very nice guy, David and Judith. I hope they don't mind me saying their names. He said that he's spoken to at least 5 companies till that time. The biggest issue was he himself was living in an apartment that he owned in a block of 10, I think. And it was a leaky building. And they're going through all sorts of dramas trying to sort that out. So he then thought, at some point, I'm going to just draw a line, build a new house, and go into this house. Now, here's the thing. Always trying to give customers what they want. He bought a site. Which is a steep site, he only wanted steel framing. He didn't want timber in his house. Mm-hmm. Okay, so any builder that he spoke to would come in, have a good chat with him, and say, "Hey, look, it's a very difficult site. We can't do it in steel framing. Has to be timber. If you do it in timber, we will give you whatever $30,000 discount." And he said, "Nope, next." And then the next guy would come, he'd do the same story. So after he went through this cycle, none of the building companies recognized and appreciated that's not what the client wants. Mm. If someone wants a red car and you're trying to sell him a green one and saying it's all in this sunlight, it does look a little bit red, it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. I was the one that said, okay, well, it's pretty difficult, but we'll make it happen. Right. We'll figure it out. At that point, I had never done a steel framed house at all. Mm-hmm. All I knew about steel frame houses, what they were being done on the flat, simple, one single story or maybe 2 story. This was on a slope, 3 levels, stepping down down the slope. Very challenging. But I was young, energetic, and just did a lot of research, and we managed to do it. And
can-do attitude.
He became a big fan of us. And so that kind of just how things started, and then you did another job and another job.
So at what point did you go all in and go, look, I need to quit this job. This is my business. This is my baby. This is my future direction?
After the second project, I wrote a resignation letter, gave it to my director, and I said, hey, look, this is my resignation letter. Whatever we talked about, I was doing this on the side. Mm-hmm. I think I can do that full time now. He just opened up, had a look at it, scrunched it up and threw it in the bin. And he said, okay, what's the problem? What do I need to do? And he said, you need more free time, you need more time away from here, or what do you need to do? So he was such a nice guy. He said, look, you could do both things for the moment, just reduce your hours. Mm-hmm. So my hours started diminishing from 40 to 30 to 20 at my consulting firm. And then down at one point, I was working 2 hours a week. I still had my office, mm-hmm. and everything was set up. And then I said, look, mate, it's just crazy. I'm hogging this office. I'm hardly ever here. Because he was thinking that eventually things won't work out, and I will realize that, and I'll come back. So then some months went by, 6, 8 months, and then I was handling both things. And then eventually I just said, hey, look, I have to just draw a line and just follow one pathway. So that's what I did. So the workload started coming in, and I started getting busier and busier. And in the early stages, we used to attract the shittiest of projects because people would look up. We used to call ourselves difficult site specialists.
Right.
So if people would Google, they would find us at the top, and they would send us these sites, which would mean some sites we worked on. The building platform was across a creek. So you had to first figure out how you're going to cross the creek to get to your building platform. Um,
Why
some
did
were.
you choose to do that?
I didn't have an angle, basically. So a lot of people were building houses. Like, what was my unique, what was my USP? Like,
Hmm.
what's different? I say, well, I'm an engineer. I say, okay, well, what does that mean? Why does it mean that you can build better houses? So I said, okay, because of my civil knowledge, I can actually come up with good economical solutions and safe solutions for difficult sites. So I'm going to be a difficult site specialist. And that attracted work. So we did a few projects like that. And it didn't take me long to realize that the people who buy these horrendous sites are the people who don't have money. And then I thought, hang on, they don't have money, so they can buy these horrendous sites, and then somehow or the other, I've got the job to make it happen
Yeah.
within a certain budget, and a lot of time goes into that. So that was another one of those learning experiences. And then we thought, okay, who are the people that have more money? It's the people who build these mansions. And so we slightly pivoted and went and started doing high-end architectural homes.
Mm.
Connected with a few architects, got a project and started doing those. And they were quite good as well because you win awards, you've got big budget bills, you win awards. The issue with that one also was that the the demand from people for those kinds of projects was huge. So you could only work on that project. You got to be available 24/7.
Yeah.
Clients will always be busy. They won't go and see samples of anything. If they do, they will stretch it out for a week, 2, 3 weeks to do all this stuff, and it becomes really, really stressful. The work was good, very satisfying, but it was very stressful. Because the job could go on hold, and then you got no work. So we went into that phase of high-end homes. Then the next phase we went through as one of my ex-university mates, just out of coincidence, connected with me, and he was building a childcare center. So he said, new company, you've only done 4 or 5 projects, but if you want, put a tender in. And we did.
Hmm.
And we were obviously the cheapest because we didn't do any overheads. Because the fact of being the cheapest won us that job. And uh, yeah, he trusted us. We built that job. And to date, I mean, that was one that we tendered for. The next one was only 2 tenders, ourselves and somebody else. His next project and his third project was just us. It was just handed over to us on a plate, full trust, no QS estimate, no nothing. We just said, hey, this is how much it's going to cost.
Hmm.
And he was happy with it. We did the job, no problem. Won lots of awards. So we've done multiple projects for that client. So we did, and this was childcare centers.
Yes.
So we were building childcare centers. So we sort of specialized in that for a bit. We did quite a number of childcare centers. Um, and then we got approached to do a hotel for a client. We did that. Um, and as part of during that childcare building phase, we also were approached through some mutual connection to do a project which was slightly larger. It was multi-unit. It was, I think, 18. It was 18 units. Very simple though, very
Hmm.
simple typology, but 18 units. So we did that project, and that sort of elevated us into the slightly higher contract value.
So I can sort of see you sort of working through this business ladder here step by step.
Correct, yeah, and learning as I go because I mean I've never owned. No one in my business, no one in my family has ever owned a business.
Yeah.
Far and wide, there's no exposure.
You mentioned before, and I'm going to sort of fast track to today because you mentioned about awards. Now, you were just last week at some awards. We said I believe it was back as far as 2013. I believe you won Small Business of the Year.
Oh yes, so other than the Master Builders Awards, we won Deloitte's Fast 50. I can't remember the year. We won Small Business of the Year. We've won actually. We've submitted and entered and won a number of awards. Just recently, for one of our projects, which was a community housing project, we won the regional award, which is from Auckland all the way to Coromandel, a gold, a special award for our sustainability efforts.
Yes.
And then just this weekend, I was in Christchurch because that project has been shortlisted top 3 in New Zealand.
Wow.
For that category, which was our multi-unit housing. We didn't win, but we were one of the top 3.
That's amazing. So, I mean, you found out very early on that it's like, hey, I'll enter this award place, fill out a few forms, and here we go. Like those awards that you've achieved, which have really been top level throughout the country, how do you believe that that's helped your business? And even if it has helped, or is it just for you to feel good?
It does help the business. Any exposure, any positive exposure is always good. And it's not so much as people saying, "Well, look, I'm so great," etc., etc. But if you know, if you if you had 2 doctors that you go to, and one of them has got no profile, no nothing, and the other has written some papers, etc., etc., and he's sort of slightly elevated from his peers, that's the guy you want to be your surgeon. So that's what my belief is that, you win, enter these awards. Obviously, you're only going to win them if you meet a certain level of quality and everything else. And it definitely has helped our business over the years. We've collected all sorts of awards. In fact, back when even I was studying as an engineer, we had this program through engineering school called Neighborhood Engineers. So you'd go and connect with schools and work with the kids and come up. So we had come up with a school playground, including the kids in the design. And that itself got us a award called Neighborhood Engineers Award. It's always a good thing. So yeah, no, just recently, top one of the top 3 in New Zealand for multi-unit housing.
Wow. Now, you mentioned this a little while back. You used the word perseverance in business. Okay. I can see you sort of climbing that ladder step by step, bigger and bigger projects, more and more awards to where you're at today. Surely along the way, I know there will be pretty much fuck ups, those really strong problems that have. How have you kind of handled these things throughout this business side of things?
Good that you asked, because we've only been talking about all the positive stuff.
Yeah.
So one of the things, I might attend used to have an ad that was big is good.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not. I can tell you. Now, when it comes to construction, so you realize after a while is that as the numbers get bigger, so does your risk and liability. All sorts of problems comes to that. So some years ago, probably about 8 or 9 years ago, we had a client that owed us money and didn't pay us $270,000, $250,000, huge amount of money at the time, or even today, huge amount of money. And yeah, we almost sank. They were okay. Well, this is the dispute. Here's our lawyers. You can go fight it. So that we were just about tanked on that one, but we did actually manage to get through and use it as a learning experience. So every day is a learning experience. What we've learned over time is not so much as margin or anything else. It's what's written in the contract. Be very careful with what you sign up to. We've signed up to projects where there was a thing called liquidated damages, which is if you're late, you pay money. And it used to be it was $10,000. So we've signed up to these things. We managed to get out of it. Like, we were fine. But there's a lot of risk, and you just want to be really careful who you work with. Let your quality speak for itself. If any job you do, make sure that if the client's happy, that you get authorization from them, that someone else can phone them for a testimonial, like just a phone, just a chat. And those things carry a lot of weight. We used to really sort of sit and be very depressed when someone was tender for a job and we lose, and we say, "Oh, what did we do wrong? How come we lost?" And it would sit in your head for a while. These days we don't. I mean, people have all sorts of reasons why they wouldn't go ahead with you. There's nothing wrong you've done. It just wasn't the right fit. And if it's not a right fit, you got to recognize it wasn't a right fit, and move on.
Well, that's a
Same
sign
as
that you've grown through your experience and the rest. How, going back to like when someone didn't pay you $250,000, how did you cope personally? Of course, did you take any of that back home with you or not?
absolutely. If you become a business owner, entrepreneur, no matter what people say, there's no work-life balance. The work sits in your brain 24/7. Um, and sometimes you got to wonder like how people deal with it. So you got to find something that when your stress levels are spiking up, you need to bring that down, and you need to figure out your coping mechanisms yourself. For some people, it might be alcohol. Yeah, I'll have a bottle of wine. There's my stress gone. Not a good idea. There are, like for me, I quite like to go to the gym and exercise. It just kind of, not that I'm any sort of fitness fanatic or anything like that. It just gets your stress levels down. You're a lot happier. And that's my coping mechanism. You're ready for battle. You're ready for another day. Had I not been doing that, I'd be way down in the doldrums. I mean, even now, look at the classic last few years. Construction has had the biggest number of liquidations, the most number of suicides, all sorts of negative things. And there's no light at the end of the tunnel. We were told 2020 survive. What was it? Survive till 2025. We did, and then 2025 came and went just about.
Mm-hmm.
The economy didn't really do too well, especially in my sector in construction. It didn't do that well. Why didn't it do well? Who knows? People seem to be tweaking all the levers that they can, but is it making a difference? Now they're saying about 2026 is going to be the year. So you can't just dwell on that. The way we work is we just do our thing. We do the best we can. We look for opportunities. If there's a roadblock here, what else can we, with our skill set, what else can we do? So we've started doing a bit of government work, like schools, Ministry of Education, small projects, but that's fine. It keeps things ticking over. If you just wanted those glamorous projects and you keep tendering, not winning anything, then what do you do in the meantime? We've got staff, we've got salaries to pay, we've got, all sorts of stuff, IRD, PAY, all that stuff. So we still need to have a bit of you need to have that workload coming in, no matter what it is.
It comes to mind like a lot of restaurants you see, they have to have a refresh and a change of menu and all this, but no one really thinks about in that service-based industries like yourself. But you have actually reinvented yourself a number of different times along the way. I do see that. So it's
You
good that
might,
you've looked in the market. Yeah.
you might even have heard people would say, I'm not going to get out of bed for a number, whatever the number is. I'm not going to get out of bed for $50 an hour or $100 an hour, whatever it is. We've never said that. We said we'll jump out of bed. If there's work there that needs to be done, we got a shot at doing it within reason. We'll do it. Of course, when our workload is high, then we'll be a bit picky. But when everyone's struggling to find work in the construction game at the moment, then yeah, we will take it. So we've morphed into various things, and you get to try out different things and see what works, what doesn't. We're quite fortunate in terms of our staff. People that are here are like family. In fact, my oldest son now works in the business, so he's our and our other staff have all sort of trained here with me. They know how the business works, and the transparency is important. Because we're a smallish company, quite transparent, so the staff knows what's going on. And we really look after them as well.
Talking about transparency and, of course, things that you've said. I'm looking right here on the side. This is something that you said online, and it really just made me giggle. I'm going to read it out. Sometimes when people talk about and they say, hey, I'm really passionate about whatever it may be. In your words, you know what I'm passionate about? Absolutely fucking nothing at all. That's really being honest. I love it. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think it was one of those kind of like down days, and people. It's just, it's a common thing. You talk to people and say, I'm so passionate about electric vehicles, for example. I'm so passionate about this, and people say that they're passionate about things. Well, what does it actually mean? I'm passionate about something. Would you give your life up for that thing, or spend 40 years on that thing? I don't know. I said I don't really. I have obviously interest and enjoyment in many things, but I'm not going to say I'm so passionate about something, because the only thing I'm passionate about is being alive. I want to have fun. I want to be happy. I want to be alive. I want to be healthy. So find things that will get you those few things in your life and be passionate about anything else that will get you there. Because at the end of the day, we are here for 5 minutes, and we spend 4 minutes 45 seconds, doing unnecessary stuff. And then we've got 15 seconds more to live. And then we rush in, just try and make something good out of that. And as you get older and you get the gray hairs, then you realize, hey, what's all this for? People expenditure basically mimics their income. So if you earn 100 grand, you might buy a $10,000 car. You earn $1 million, you're going to buy a $200,000 Ferrari. If you earn 10 million, now you got a Ferrari and a super yacht. It just carries on, and now you've got to pedal so hard to ensure that you can keep feeding this beast you've created, those 4 or 5 cars and yachts and everything like that. So the satisfaction isn't in those material things. You think they are. Of course, don't get me wrong, people need a certain standard of living. They need a roof over their house. They want to be able to go on holidays, etc., etc. But what everyone does is they amplify those things and think, okay, well, now I'm going to go to a more luxurious hotel and I'm going to get a limo to pick me up. And I'm not that person. I'm very content with what I have.
Do you drive a Ferrari?
I don't. One of my clients did. And so I don't. I mean, I do have a truck. I have a Ford F-150, which I love. And otherwise, we just try to get everything focused back on happiness.
So, okay. In terms of that happiness thing, you've also said to me that as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, life and business interlink in 24/7. In terms of that happiness, where does your business and what you do play a part in that?
I'd hate to use the word passionate because I said I don't like that word. But we are very passionate about property and construction. So in our family, that's what we talk about all the time. Something comes on TV, something in a newspaper, some article. So we kind of can't draw a line and remove that, even though it's not business talk per se relating to our business. It is an area of interest that's sort of ingrained now in our family because they've all experienced it through me, I guess, from the last 18. I mean, if you include my civil engineering career, it's been 25 years plus. So everyone's interested. So we talk about that, and it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like fun. That part of it. Yeah. If I had to draw a line and separate them, I think it's going to be very difficult for me.
One more thing I'll pick in that I've seen online that you'd mentioned: early to bed, early to rise, and early to advertise.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Absolutely. This is one of the classic things, like the advice new business owners used to get was do a good quality job and you will attract clients. You could make a fantastic, you could sit in your garage and paint all day long and create this beautiful masterpiece of a painting, but even your neighbor doesn't know about it. So who's going to come and buy that piece of painting? Nobody. And you will make more and more paintings forever. So you've got to put yourself out there. As difficult as it is, embarrassing sometimes, but you've got to get over that barrier. And whatever it is that you do, people need to know. You don't need to, thrust it into their faces, but you just need to put it out there. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. There might be people there that are interested. There might be people that comment on it, etc., etc. If you don't, then your product or service won't sell. I mean, if Red Bull stopped advertising, something else will take over. Some other energy drink will take over. So even though they're at that top, they still have to keep it there, keep that momentum going. And that's what it is for business owners, whether it's a starting or intermediate level, is it find something. And it's difficult because some people don't have, so the first thing, classic one is time. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I don't know what to do. Well, then I say to people, if I phoned you and I said, if you are whatever field, and I said, hey, how do you do this thing? I'm sure you, in literally 30 seconds, you'd be able to answer my question. So there's that knowledge that I don't have that you have. So now you need to put that knowledge out there so people know, hey, this guy actually has this knowledge. Maybe he knows what he's talking about. And that's the disjoint we find, and one of the most difficult things about. So coming back to that, so advertise as in not the little ads in the New Zealand Herald that I used to do, as in market, putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Your own branding, yeah.
Hey, Sanjesh, I've really enjoyed listening to your journey today. I've been in sync with so much of what you've been saying throughout today, and I really hope that it inspires a lot of people that maybe were where you were to where you are now. We haven't really touched on the, where you've become in that industry leader right now. So maybe, we'll need to book in another chat at some stage in the future. But this has been Let's Talk Small Business, and we've talked everything from small to large business today. And congratulations on all the awards, and obviously the biggest congratulations on just having fun in this life. So that's amazing.
Thank you so much. It was great to have a chat and just sort of go back through history.
Yeah, no, it's been brilliant. We'll talk again soon.
Okay, sounds good. Yep. Thank you.
Let's Talk Small Business. I appreciate you tuning in. If you got value, hit subscribe, like, or drop a comment. It spreads the word and might just help another legend get their breakthrough.